What if private capital could entirely rewrite the rules of early childhood education? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into two completely different blueprints aiming to do exactly that. One is driven by pure, incredible charity, and the other, well, it's built on some seriously complex financial engineering. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at private capital for early education. Then, Tangelo Park's direct philanthropy. After that, we break down the RRFC and its financial engineering. Then, speculation in the Fed, followed by a head-to-head of philanthropy versus privatization. And finally, scaling the impact. Let's jump right in. Section 1. Private capital for early education. Okay, so both models we're looking at today share one massive foundational assumption. They both absolutely believe that private money, not government programs, is the silver bullet when it comes to breaking cycles of poverty. The theory here is that ages 0 to 6 are literally the highest leverage investment years of a human's life. If you get this specific window right, everything else just naturally follows. And here is their shared finish line. Whether we're talking about direct charity or Wall Street-style engineering, the ultimate goal is getting a child really ready to read, count, and understand positive expectations before they even hit first grade. It's about those essential cognitive skills, sure, like reading and math, but it's equally about behavioral virtues and building a rock-solid foundation for the future. Moving on to Section 2, Tangelo Park, direct philanthropy. Let's look at a proven, real-world approach from the early 1990s. This was spearheaded by a self-made hotelier named Rosen. Rosen used pure direct philanthropy. He essentially just adopted the Tangelo Park neighborhood in Orlando, Florida. His model supplemented the existing public system by simply footing the bill. He funded free, high-quality preschool for every single 2, 3, and 4-year-old in that neighborhood. But he actually didn't stop there. He promised full college or vocational scholarships for every graduating high school senior, and he added parenting classes and family service centers. All of this cost roughly between $500,000 and $1 million a year, and he paid for it directly from his foundation with zero expectation of getting a single dime back in financial return. Now, you might be wondering, did it actually work? Get this, the results were absolutely staggering. Tangelo Park's high school graduation rate skyrocketed from roughly 50% all the way to nearly 100%. And alongside that massive educational triumph, the neighborhood saw a 50% drop in crime. It's a truly stunning validation that private wealth, when deployed directly and comprehensively into early education, can utterly transform a community. All right, Section 3, the RRFC. Financial engineering. So, unlike Rosen's straightforward charity, the Reconstruction Resource Finance Corporation, or RRFC for short, is a highly complex proposal. It doesn't just want to supplement government early education, it explicitly wants to eliminate and replace it entirely. The RRFC is envisioned as this private multi-county entity. The goal here is to take early childhood education completely out of the public sector's hands and fund it through an intricate mechanism involving private investors and, believe it or not, the Federal Reserve. To really understand the RFFC, we have to look at how it's capitalized. It uses a 2-to-1 debt-to-equity ratio, which means it relies heavily on leveraged debt. This is not a billionaire writing a nice, easy check. This is a corporate machine designed to generate returns for investors while actively managing a massive debt load. Let's actually walk through the math step by step. First, private investors put up $12,000 a year for 3 years, so that totals $36,000 per child. Second, those investors put or transfer that cost over to the RRFC. Now here's where the financial engineering really kicks in. The RRFC takes that $36,000 investment, marks it up by 50%, and then offers it as a $54,000 financial asset directly to the Federal Reserve. Which brings us to Section 4, speculation and the Fed. The entire RRFC model balances on one massive piece of speculation, getting the Federal Reserve to eventually accept this $54,000 asset. And the equity investors? They carry all the risk here. They might have to wait anywhere from 5 to 15 years for the Fed to act, and they face a brutal 25% annual penalty if the Fed delays. But if it works, the ultimate market value of that child's readiness is gifted straight to the U.S. Treasury to help reduce national deficits. You're probably thinking, how does the internal debt actually get paid? You might guess the taxpayer savings from closing all those public schools covers it, right? Nope, those savings go straight into tax cuts for citizens. Instead, the RRFC pays its own debt through active parallel returns from local bridges out of poverty projects. And just to tie the whole shebang together, the model proposes using a special digital coin to strictly track and verify that the mother and child have actually met the new required outcomes.
Let's look at Section 5, philanthropy versus privatization. Seeing these two side by side perfectly highlights the ultimate ideological split in private sector intervention. On the one hand, Rosen uses private wealth as additive philanthropy, zero debt, working perfectly alongside and supplementing the public schools. On the other hand, the RRFC uses financial speculation, high leverage, and the Fed to completely eliminate public pre-K entirely. Basically, one model trusts in direct giving, while the other puts its faith in financial markets and systemic privatization.
Section 6, Scaling the Impact. To put this into perspective, the sources actually compare the RFC's ambition to building the Lake of the Ozarks back in the 1930s. That was a massive hydroelectric megaproject across multiple counties. But, pouring concrete for a dam over 2 years is one thing. Rolling out a universal Montessori-style childcare system across multiple counties and fundamentally changing family dynamics, that is multi-year human engineering, which is arguably a whole lot harder than just holding back a river. However, the RFFC proposal argues that the blueprint for success already exists right under our noses. In a lot of suburbs, robust private preschools already operate as highly successful small businesses, charging around $1,000 a month. The proposal asserts that by completely removing public sector regulations and resourcing the system, this exact private business model could rapidly expand to urban areas. The idea is that the built-in profit motive, combined with massive new revenue and community-wide tax reductions, would theoretically incentivize incredibly fast growth and super high-quality outcomes. Both blueprints agree on one fundamental thing. Private capital and sky-high expectations for toddlers really can change the world. But as we wrap up this explainer, here is the multi-million-dollar question we have to leave you with. Does the proven debt-free simplicity of direct philanthropy offer the best path forward? Or does the wildly complex financial engineering of complete privatization hold the true key to tomorrow's children? It's a huge question, and we'll let you be the judge.